Hi guys, it is time to talk Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip ex-wives style. Is that what we're calling it? This is a spoiler alert. We are going to be breaking it down for you. It's so beautiful outside that I thought I would just do this video and let you guys hear some of the birds chirping. And as long as no one starts mowing their grass or weed whacking, then we will be Gucci. Before we get started, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, turn those notifications on. If you want to be up to date with what's going on in the housewives world, you got to turn your notifications on, okay? Let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about the main players, the situation. It looks like they're all coming together for like 6 or 7 days at Dorinda's home in Massachusetts, the Berkshire. We've seen this estate before on the Real Housewives of New York. Dorinda's hosted many events there. Some good, some bad, but of course it's like a special place to her. We know that because she still speaks about, you know, her deceased husband, Richard. She speaks about him a lot, and that was their home together, and so it's close to her heart. And I think that Peacock did a really great job of showing the home and the estate in a really great light and a really great edit. They kind of did like a overview and just showed how beautiful it was, and showed Dorinda just, you know, making sure that there were flowers and gifts in every room and slippers and you know, lunch and dinner, just being a great hostess. And that's something that you really don't see from these ladies very often. Even when they host events, they're paying people to host the event and they're just socializing. Like Dorinda was like hands-on, making sure everything was getting done. So I think Peacock did a great job showing her in a great light in that manner. Now we have Taylor, Vicki, and Tamra arriving together. The three of them come. Really quickly, I want to touch on something about Taylor Armstrong, guys. Your mom's watching account on Instagram kind of tipped us off and just told us to pay attention to where Taylor says she's living when we see her on the first episode. And she says that she's living in Orange County. And that struck me as strange, guys, because I thought, you're living in Orange County, but we don't ever hear or see you pictured with anyone ever. We never hear your name in anything. I mean, Kelly Dodd is like everywhere in Orange County. She knows everyone and everything. And I just think that, I don't know, that at some point we would have heard or seen something of Taylor if she was living in Orange County, unless if they just recently moved back. There were also people saying like in the background, like there wasn't stuff in the closet. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to look around at like they were just sitting at the dining room table, I guess. But yeah, so we got to pay attention to that. Anyways, the three of them arrived together, and immediately Vicki is upset. Her boyfriend just her fiance broke up with her the day before. This is going to be a loud truck. I'm just going to let it pass. It's a motorcycle. And she tells us after she arrives, when she starts speaking on the situation, that she bought her own engagement ring because the ring that she wanted, he couldn't afford, and that she had bought a home in Mexico, and he was actually living there. And so she was flying back and forth between California and him in Mexico while he lived in her home. Yes. So she's, of course, you know, Vicki already is problematic, if you will, a special kind of a bird, I guess. And I think that the pressure, you know, the situation with her fiance and them breaking up, like probably didn't help her at all on this trip, because she's already, like I said, she's problematic, if you will. That's just my opinion, though. I mean, that's just my opinion. Anyways, we also see Miss Phaedra Parks and Eva arrived together. Now, we heard Eva was like a last minute add-in. Not sure if that's really the case or not. I was happy to see Eva. I love Eva. If you guys saw in the opening scene with her husband, she's like laughing, telling him that oh, that was a nice catch, wasn't it? If you were watching, then you heard her say like, oh, you know that, I can't say what the word is, obviously, but it's like something that you would smoke. And she says, you know, it's legal in Massachusetts. So I feel like her and Phaedra stopped off at a dispensary after they got off the airport. When they got out of the airport, they probably had their driver take them to a legal dispensary to buy treats and goodies for the home. That's just my opinion. I think that we'll probably see them in a few more episodes down the line, like giggly and funny for no reason, or they'll just come out and tell us that they actually consumed like grass gummies, which is completely on the other end of the spectrum of when the Beverly Hills ladies were in Germany, Amsterdam, and they were at a smoke restaurant that had like a bunch of food that was infused with grass, and the ladies wouldn't touch it on camera, but they allegedly were like gobbling it up off camera. So Lisa Vanderpump and Kyle and all of them too good to, eat weed brownies in Amsterdam. Okay, anyways, back to what we were talking about. So we see Eva coming along, which I like that. I like Eva and Phaedra together. I do. I think they work well together. And then we see Brandy. We see Brandy speaking with her son, and she says, like, before they leave, of course, they're kind of setting the scene, and she's asking him, like, do you not want me to, is there anything you don't want me to say? I don't want to embarrass you, or, and her son's like, no, you're fine. And he's probably like, I don't know, 14 or 15 now. I mean, that's what he looks like. And then she says something like about the Hulk, and then wondering if the Hulk has like a man part. I don't know if I can say that because I don't want to get demonetized. And it was like, it made her sound really uncomfortable. I'm like, Brandy, like, you don't gotta talk about sex in front of like your 15-year-old son. Like not sex, but even just like anything sexual. Like, I mean, I don't know. I just didn't like that. I like Brandy, but I don't like that side of Brandy. And she's drinking heavily already in the first episode. Everyone's like, bitch, 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 bitch. And we're like, the lady's like, no, you cannot call everyone a bitch, Brandy. Like, stop using that as like a pronoun, right? Because it's offensive. And I think that Brandy is on best behavior in her mind compared to like the Brandy that we saw before. But what happens is her and Taylor have allegedly not spoken or seen each other since they quit filming back at the first couple of years of Beverly Hills, okay? They have this conversation several times through the first episode, and it's a strange conversation because we do know that Russell unalived himself, and Taylor was left with a lot of debt that Russell's business partner wanted bags, like her handbags back, her diamond ring off of her finger back, because Russell owed so much money to them. So she was, filming, and she didn't have a lot of money, and she did a book deal. So when they went to the reunion, Brandy, of course, made a comment about the book deal, saying like, well, it's only been a hot minute, basically, to Taylor. Like, you didn't even grieve before you've already written a book about it. So now, fast forward, however many years it's been, they start to have this conversation, and Brandy starts to explain her perspective and about how it was such a difficult season for her when she came on, and she, didn't have anyone, and Kim and Kyle were kind of like ganged up on her, especially when they were at Dana Wilkie's house. And she says, Taylor, you always kind of took up for me, and I appreciated that. But she was like, I just had such a terrible year that year, with Russell dying. And Taylor's like, but like, Russell was my husband. And Brandy's like, yeah, but we were like all friends. Like, we were all friends. And I was like devastated. Brandy's literally saying that she was more, it sounds and feels like Brandy is saying that she is more devastated. She was more impacted than Taylor was by the death of Russell and the way that he chose to go about it. And it wasn't like a feeling that you got one time. It was something that she's like, they have 3 conversations, and she says it 2 times. And the last time is like in front of other people. So Taylor already having a problem, like not being able to really stick up for herself. She was kind of like that back in the beginning. And I noticed that with Brandy, she didn't really say anything. Like she just kind of let it go, even though she said it in her confessional. And even though as viewers, like we picked up on that, you could tell that Brandy was like kind of acting like she had more of going on that season, you know, than Taylor did. And Taylor also, you know, talks about the fact is, like I said in my last video, about when Camille outed the domestic violence and she, you know, they were at Lisa Vanderpump's house and Camille was like, we don't tell them that he hits you. We don't tell them that he broke your jaw. And she speaks about how it was like she knew you could never take it back. Like it was on camera, it was coming out. There was nothing that they could do about it. She also explains to Brandy that after Russell died, she didn't have any money and she had Kennedy and she had a house and she had to figure out how she was going to live. And she said that her agent and her publisher, like she had a timeline they had gave her to make a decision on whether she would write this book or not. And if she did, then they would give her an advance. And that's exactly what she ended up having to do. She wrote, you know, took the advance. And she said that, and I appreciated that she owned that and said, you know what, I was broke after he died. I didn't have any money. Like he was in debt. I had to write a book. I had nothing else to do. What else was I supposed to do? So, I appreciated that Taylor shared that, but I find it really crazy that Brandy's like trying to take that away or trying to compete with it. I guess I think a more appropriate reaction from Brandy would have been like, you know, I understand that, you know, your season was probably way worse than mine, especially with the death of Russell. But, you know, just from my perspective, it was very tough on me because of A, B, C, and D, and E, right? I didn't like that. Dorinda puts Taylor in a room, or Dorinda puts Brandy in a room with a pull-out couch, and I thought that was so funny too. Brandy, of course, makes a comment about it, and Dorinda claims that that's like a handmade wooden couch from London with a handmade pull-out bed. So there you have it. What else did I want to tell you, guys, about oh my gosh, when they start talking about the wee-wee moment, this is when Vicki is speaking about her fiance and how they're broke up now, and how it had been 13 months since they had had sex. And she said that she would like try to play with his wee-wee, and like he just wasn't, you know, receptive to, or didn't receive it, I guess, if you will. And so all of the women in their confessionals, like, are, you know, must have been asked the same question, like, what did you think about the wee-wee? You know, how Vicki spoke of, like, her fiance's manhood or his, you know, whatever you want to call it, but wee-wee was, like, a little bit of a strange thing, I thought, just saying. Also, I wanted to note that, did you guys notice Dorinda saying that Andy, she told all of the ladies that Andy Cohen called her and said that he wanted to put her on pause for a year, that she was not let go, she was not fired, that she is just on pause. And maybe that's making sense because now she's on the real, you know, she's hosting this event, so maybe she is on pause. Maybe she'll be like a host and they'll all come to her home every year and film or do something like that. Who knows? And then I think that we're going to see some action going on. I really do. I think we're going to see it get crazy. I think Vicki, she started already with, you know, her very, very opinionated about vaccinations. Her and Dorinda start to kind of argue back and forth. It's a little bit, it looks a little tense. I definitely think that, I think Phaedra and Brandy make a strange pair, but not so, because Phaedra is so difficult to understand that it's like, does she have these friends because she knows like she looks good next to Brandy? I mean, she's like an attorney and established, educated, you know, and Brandy's like kind of drinking in the corner somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's going to be good. I'm excited, and I hope that we get to see some action and we get to, you know, really see these ladies in action, like 6 or 7 days in a house together with like nowhere, like they're not out shopping and there's not places to go out to lunch. Like There's not any of that. I mean, it's a big, you know, estate, obviously. There's grounds that where they can walk and such, but nothing, you know, to where they can actually get away from each other. And so that, I think, is going to start to put a strain on all of them. I also wanted to note that Eva said that she gets up every day and she's on Ricky Smiley in the morning at 6 a.m. Monday through, I don't know how many days a week, but she says every single day, and she never misses work. And I didn't know that, so I kind of wanted to like just make a mental note to you guys that she is live at 6 a.m. with Ricky Smiley every morning, and I didn't know that. So good for her. I was always cheering for Eva. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. If you want to rate this first episode of the Real Housewives Girls Trip Ex-Wives Club, episode 1. If you want to tell me what you guys think of it, rate it maybe on a scale of 1 to 10. And tell me what feud you're most looking forward to seeing. All right, guys, have a great day, and we will talk soon.